Today on the channel, we're talking Jakks 10100s with Jakks 10100 Toy Fair exclusives. Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel as we continue our deep dives into the Jakks Classic Superstars series. So if this is your first time here, or you're a long-time viewer, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as we keep pumping out these Jakks Classic Superstars videos every single Tuesday. We've done the single cards, the tag teams, the 3-packs, a few miscellaneouses. Now we're jumping into the 1 of 100 series, going through some of the hardest to find wrestling figures of all time. And we actually have 2 of them here at the table we'll show as we talk about these figures. But like I said, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as we still got a long ways to go with these Jakks videos. We still got a lot more exclusive talk to do, some of the other miscellaneous sets and so forth and so forth. So make sure you're subscribed. But today, we're talking Toy Fair exclusives 1 of 100s. If you missed the last video, I did a video last week about the New York Toy Fair exclusive 1 of 100s. So make sure you're checking that video out so you can be well versed in all the 1 of 100s. And I won't rattle off all the stories from last time we talked about, but the 1 of 100s always made me bang my head on the table. I mentioned it last week. Just always difficult, especially if you're a young collector. Hey, I was fresh in college, out of college when these were hitting the toy fairs and the 1 of 100s. Me, like a lot of people, we didn't have money for these kind of things, and it sucks when you're a hardcore completist of the Jakks Classic Superstars. I don't count being a completist having the 1 of 100s, 1 of 25s, the 1 of like 8s, 1 of 5s. Those don't really count because those are another level. But the regular stuff, I was a completist, and I would have loved to have all these, but it's not in the cards, at least at this point in my life, and I'm guessing it probably won't be because a lot of these are thousands of dollars, as you guys maybe are or are not aware at this point. But we had all kinds of different Toy Fair exclusives, and we'll do a different video because there was a lot of yin and yangs with these. There was some 1 of 3,000 exclusives and 1 of 100s. We're talking 1 of 100s today. We'll do another video about the Toy Fair 1 of 3,000s. There's some really cool ones in there as well, and I remember being happy about those because I knew those were going to be attainable. The 1 of 100s, there'd always be a few that would pop up on eBay the weekend of or the weekend after a toy fair, and they would just go for an obscene amount of money, and to this day, a lot of them do. But let's kick it off. Let's talk about a big one, and one that I was really disappointed in because it was Hulk Hogan. As we all know, Hulk Hogan, if not one of the biggest wrestling superstars of all time, depending on what side of the fence you sit on. We all know Hulk Hogan. Grandmas know Hulk Hogan's. Little kids know Hulk Hogan. He is a big name, and we got a Hulk Hogan figure, but talk about throwback. Pre-Hulkamania here. We did get one of those with Freddie Blassie in a 2-pack, which was pretty cool, but this is even before that. It's a Terry Boulder Hulk Hogan. He's got the blonde hair and the black mustache, the big chest hair going on, and kind of a T for Terry in there. He also comes with, I believe he came with a trophy as well. But it was a 1 of 100, and this is one I assumed, well, they're making it this. They're going to use that body mold. They're going to do something different. They'll release that regular. Nuh-uh, it never happened. This is your only chance to ever get the old school Hulk Hogan figure. Very, very disappointing. We'll talk more about that style of figure much later in the channel when we do some sister videos to the Classic Superstars. So remember that towards the end of this video series, we'll visit this and we'll talk a little bit more in depth. But Hulk Hogan 1 of 100 did have the stamp on his leg, which I always absolutely hated. I hated it with the Best Of series with the Ruthless Aggression, and I hate it with the 1 of 100s. I wish they could hide it on the foot or something like that. It just is an eyesore when they stamp it on the figure. That's my opinion. I know not everybody shares that opinion. But the Hulk Hogan 1 of 100, that is one of the most, if not the priciest Classic Superstars 1 of 100 figures. It recently went for an astronomical amount, like $8,000 or something crazy like that. So it's out of my price range, probably out of a lot of yours as well. We'll just all have to admire that figure from afar together. So there it is. But a very cool one, and a lot of ones. It's one that a lot of people were salivating over and still do after all these years. It's just a very cool figure, and if you own it, consider yourself very lucky. And I should mention, I did have help with this video. One is Wrestling Figure Database. If you're not going to Wrestling Figure Database, what are you doing? Check out their website. It's a nice place to go if you're looking for checklists, stuff like that. I wish this thing was around many years ago. It would have saved me a lot of time, and I'm sure it could save you guys a lot of time as well. So hit up Wrestling Figure Database. I've had some help help supplying images and some things for this as well. It is truly a passion project behind that team. I talk to those guys on a fairly regular basis, so they do a really good job. And then Scott McGowan, he's on Twitter. I'll put the Twitter link to him if you want to follow him along. He is out there, and he has all the 1-100. So he's a high roller out there. He's got all the 1-100 figures. And he helped me with some pictures and stuff like that for these videos. So thank you to both of those places as well. So we talked that Hulk Hogan. We did get a Tux version of Hulk Hogan of a 1 of 3,000. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But the next one we're going to talk about was a Long Beach Comic-Con exclusive, a sleeper one. This is one where, you know, the New York Toy Fair, LA Toy Fair, some of these other ones, we always knew there was going to be exclusive. This Long Beach one caught everybody by surprise back in the day. But they did a 1 of 100 Rey Mysterio Jr. Yes, Rey Mysterio, very much like the Eddie Guerrero in the last set. Felt really weird being in Classic Superstars. Yes, we knew Rey was a big deal, but it didn't feel like right for him to be in that set because we had a Rey Mysterio Jakks Ruthless Aggression figure literally every series. Somewhere every month there was a new Rey Mysterio. So it didn't feel right. But the beauty of Classic Superstars, like I always say, 20 years in the past, 10 years later, whatever you want to call it, Rey is classic. It fits the mold. It's just the beautiful thing about this series. But this one caught a lot of people by surprise. I do remember when this came out and people were like, hey, there's a 1 of 100 at this show. I remember a lot of naysayers thinking it was a custom because it is a repainted Classic Superstars Rey Mysterio. This is the 1 of 100s I like. It's not that much different than the one you could buy at Toys R Us back in the day. It's not something completely different like that Hulk Hogan figure. So this I really did like, and I did end up getting this for a screaming deal about a year or so ago. I want to say I only paid like $400 for this one, which is just absolutely crazy for a 1 of 100. And Rey Mysterio, I'm not the hugest Rey Mysterio fan, but when you get a deal like that, got to get a deal. You can't pass that up. Worst case scenario, you sell it and you make some money down the line. No plans to sell this one, though. But Rey Mysterio surprised a lot of people, like I said, so it was really cool to get this one. And it was an interesting one. It was kind of the white, I don't know about the white whale, I don't know what we'd call it, but the anomaly in this 1 of 100, it's like this one just felt really out of left field and just felt kind of strange. That's my opinion at least. So there it is, the Long Beach exclusive Rey Mysterio Jr. So the next one I also own. So this one is one I love. You guys know I love Warrior, I love Flair, I love Terry Funk. But another guy I love that's in my top 5 is Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper had a lot of Jakks Classic Superstars over the years, but one came out, and normally like the Warrior, the Funk, the Flair exclusives, I'm like, oh, I really wish I could own that. I hate that they're putting it as a 1 of 100. This one didn't bother me as much. I do own this one. I do love this one. I had to buy this one with the 1 of 100 Terry Funk. The seller would only sell these two together for me. And when you got to do that, I had to get that Terry Funk, and I got to end up getting a really good price on this one. Mattel has recently remade this figure, but it's the Roddy Piper Boxing Edition. I guess I should show it off there. There it is, 1 of 100 Roddy Piper Boxing Edition. Now, Mattel absolutely killed it with this one. They absolutely killed it with that Mr. T 2-pack. If you didn't pick that one up, that could be the best Roddy Piper head scan of all time. I am in love with that 2-pack. I really do need that 2-pack on card. I have never pulled the trigger, but I really should get that and pick that up one of these days. I really got to add that to my list. I like that set a whole lot with Mr. T and Roddy Piper. Such an iconic 2-pack. It's the kind of 2-packs I love. I love to see stuff like that. But this Piper represents the WrestleMania boxing match at WrestleMania 2 with Mr. T. I'm not a big fan of this one, though. The gloves are comically oversized. I mean, it looks like he has 2 balloons. They're way too big, and it takes away a lot for this figure for me. You know, it's cool that he has the plaid shorts, the plaid robe. It's a good-looking figure. I just wish they could have done something different with these gloves. I wish it was alternate hands or something like that. We know they had the Big Show figure from Jakks at the time, and it had boxing gloves. We had the Jakks license of Rocky figures. They had boxing gloves. I'm guessing the timelines probably just didn't work out, because I'm sure if this was a later day Jakks Class Superstar, they would have used those Rocky gloves and painted them on there. But instead we get these oversized balloon ones, and it just looks a little comical, a little phony, a little fake to me. But it's still an amazing piece. I don't know if I would own this if it wasn't for Terry Funk having to be bundled with this, and when you did the math between the two, it was a screaming deal, so I jumped on it. But it's still a neat piece. It's a neat conversation piece. It's one of the all-time classic wrestlers of all time, as we're all fully aware of. Roddy Piper is a very, very big deal. So I'm happy to have this one, but there it is. These are the two out of these Toy Fair ones. I own the Rey Mysterio, I own the Roddy Piper. But next up, no stranger to exclusives, Sergeant Slaughter. An exclusive man, he's always exclusive, and he doesn't remember who Nemesis Enforcer is, if you guys remember that story. But we did get Rule Breaker Straw... Jesus, easy for me to say. Let me try that again. Rule Breaker Slaughter. We got that one as a 1 of 100. This is another 1 of 100 that didn't offend me at all. I said, that's just Slaughter and some tan pants and a black top and a kind of a beret hat. Big deal. Big deal. Not the coolest 1 of 100 figure by any means, but I know if you're a completist, and there's a lot of people that do like this one. I love Sergeant Slaughter myself, but this incarnation didn't do a lot for me. But the 1 of 3,000 version, sign me up all day long, and we'll get to that in another video. But this Rule Breaker Slaughter, not really that special. The special part of this one is it's the 1 of 100, is a scarce figure. You're not going to come across that, so it's okay. I wouldn't turn it down if somebody gave me a hot deal. I wouldn't turn any of these 1 of 100s down if I could find a deal on them. But they're not in my active search list like this Slaughter. So there you go. The next one is an interesting one, and this is one that has really fallen on hard times, to be honest, as this figure's really probably had the most fluctuation of any 1 of 100 figure. I don't know that for a fact, but off the top of my head, I've seen this thing when it came out, it was super high, it dropped down, it's up, it's down, now it's still pretty low, and we're talking about Sonny. We all remember the manager Sonny. We got the Skip and Body Donna one in the 3,000, 1 of 3,000 class, but we got the Smoking Guns manager Sonny in the 1 of 100. And it came with the 2 title belts, which is really cool, and kind of her cowboy duster type thing and a cowboy hat. A cool figure, one I probably should have picked up because I've seen that thing as low as $250 for a while. I mean, now it's probably $600, $700, $800. I haven't really clocked it in a while. But it's not quite the same as a Hulk Hogan or Roddy Piper or Terry Funk or Bobby Heenan. It's just not quite the same. Caveat, Sonny's fallen on a lot of hard times over the last few years. So, her popularity, I would say, has waned at best. And she's going to be maybe possibly forgotten sometime in the future if she doesn't get cleaned up and all that kind of fun stuff. But I'm a big Sonny fan. I was a big Sonny fan, that's for sure. And I would still pick this up if I could find it at a reasonable price. But we'll see. I'm sure I could probably find this at a reasonable price if I started looking around enough. But Sonny in the 1 of 100, and then, of course, the 1 of 3,000, which we'll get to farther down the line. So be prepared for that. And then the final 1 of 100, there was also a 1 of 3,000, but the 1 of 100 was an interesting one. It was a glow-in-the-dark figure, and I believe this was the only glow-in-the-dark Jakks Ruthless Aggression style figure that was ever released. I know we got an Undertaker exclusive for Canada that was a black and white figure. We also had a Superstar Billy Graham as a black and white figure, and we'll get to that on the channel eventually as well. But this Undertaker was a 1 of 100, and it glowed in the dark. So a little special paint to it and all that kind of fun stuff, jazzing it up a little bit. And this is one that I also had some chances to buy this one around the $500 mark, and I just felt like that was too much. But Undertaker, his legend grows every year, grew every year. So the 1 of 100 has shot up in value like you wouldn't believe. I mean, this is a over $1,000 piece figure now. I should have really pulled the trigger on this one because I don't see this one coming back down in price. At the time, Undertaker was still working. He was an active wrestler when this came out, and we were getting Undertaker figures constantly in the Ruthless Aggression line. Many Undertaker figures in all the sets out there. So it didn't feel as special at the time, but all these years later, Undertaker, a Hall of Famer, quite the storied career. People look back and say, what are the special Undertaker figures? And it doesn't get a whole lot more special than this 1 of 100. Off the top of my head, I think it's the rarest Undertaker mass-released figure of all time. It has to be, right? There's not another 1 of 100. I don't think there's a Mattel special Undertaker that's below 100. So this is probably the rarest Undertaker figure of all time, 1 of 100. So it's definitely a special one. Then you throw on the glow-in-the-dark gimmick on top of there. Oh boy, you're cooking with gas then. So a very popular one. I don't see this one dropping in value. I don't foresee myself ever obtaining this one. It's just probably not in the card. So there it is. There's the other 1 of 100s, the Toy Fair 1 of 100s from various different places. The last video was the New York Toy Fair. This was a little bit of Long Beach Fair and a few other things. I do need to get a case for this Rey Mysterio. Trying to find a case for these Jakks Class Superstars figures is pretty much searching for the Holy Grail at this point. Very hard to do, but if any of you guys have an extra case, I need 2 of them. I need one for my Giant Gonzalez and one for this. So if any of you guys got any leads on a Jakks Class Superstar case that fits the figure, just like this one, I'm all ears. I'm all ears. But what say you about these 10100s? Did you buy any? Are you a total pass? Were you heartbroken every time they were getting announced like I was? Just saying, oh, I really want this. I just can't afford it. I'm sure that's where most of us are. I love the figures. I just don't love the idea, like I explained a little bit more in depth in the last video. But you guys give me your comments on these Jakks Classic Superstars figures. And then don't forget to like this video. You made it this far. You love Jakks Classic Superstars. Give it the old thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the old notification bell. Follow me on social media at SirPaul64. All kinds of stuff on there. You don't want to miss any of my posts. I got hot deals on there. I post the videos when they post. A lot of commentary and stuff like that. So make sure you're following on Twitter at SirPaul64. _Kyle_Peterson on Instagram. Of course, Pro Wrestling Tees. Get your very own Kyle Peterson shirt. Support the channel. And that's it. So for the 10100 crew, especially Rey Mysterio and Roddy Piper, who were nice enough to come visit me at the table today, I'm Kyle. I'll see you guys all real soon.